All right, this is going to be the valving for a singular train manual permeate flush. So first and foremost, normally your permeate cleaning return is closed, but for a flush, this needs to be open or else it'll damage the RO. Make sure this is open. Normally the CIP recirculation valve is closed, but for a flush, open. Your bank number 1 influent valve, normally closed. For a flush, open. Bank number 2 influent valve, normally closed. For a flush, open. Bank 3 effluent valve, normally closed. For a flush, open. Bank 3 influent valve, normally closed. For a flush, open. For a flush, you can leave this valve and that valve over there both open. If it's a CIP, you would close it and isolate the interstage booster pump. For a flush, not necessary. And then the last valve in here to go over is the bank 1 and 2 effluent valve needs to be open. Make sure it's open. Normally this valve is closed, but for the flush again, it is open. Now moving out to the CIP area, a couple of things to go over. If the water's been stagnant within the tank for some time, you need to make sure to dump that water out. Things will fall in from the atmosphere and the water's stagnant. You don't want to be flushing with that dirty water. So you would go over to this valve, open it up, let it dump out on the floor. You could go ahead and plug in your submersible pumps to pump it out. Once it's completely empty, make sure to close this or else you're just going to bleed water all over the floor. Now, once you've done that, you would go ahead and open up your permeate fill valve or your RO permeate valve. This is going to go ahead and fill up the tank. So when you need to fill the tank, you open with this valve. You need to make sure that this valve is also open. Just like inside the permeate clean return is open inside, it needs to be open out here. Now let's start from over in the tank. Make sure your tank effluent valve is open. That way you're not running the pumps dry. And make sure that your suction side valves are open depending on which pump you're running. So water's going to flow from the tank through here. Your suction side valve is open. Your pump is on. You might have to throw the discharge or effluent side valve to build pressure and for you to obtain the correct flow. Anyways, it's going to come from the tank out through here. This is open, comes to the pump, open. It's going to move on down to here. It's going to come down through the cartridge filter. You need to make sure your cartridge influent and cartridge effluent valve are open. So water comes from the top through the cartridge filter, comes out through here. By the way, that valve, leave those closed. Anyways, back, so it comes down through the cartridge filter, comes out, goes down, up, closer, and then gets to here. Now, this valve right here is going to be closed, so water can't go that way. It's forced to go down. This valve is open, so it can continue on. And this valve over here will be closed. So water is going to come towards us, down, can't go that way, comes down. This is open, continues down, can't go that way. And then follows this pipe, which is your cleaning feed. So now this water from the tank is going into the ROs themselves. Now it goes through banks 1, 2, and 3. And it comes out back to here from the cleaning return. So this is now the water that you're flushing out. So this water is hopefully flushing out all the nasty stuff in the RO. We don't want that going back to the tank or in the RO. So it comes up this pipe over here. Remember, that valve is closed, so it can't go that way. This valve is actually open, so the water will continue here. Remember, we don't want this going back into the tank, so this valve is closed. So it can't go back into the tank. Instead, comes out through here, follows down, comes to here. This valve is closed, so we don't want water coming that way, meaning that the only way it can go is down, and this is going to be through the effluent. So this is where you're going to be flushing all the water, and you can see that divot in the rocks. That's where all the water is going to be spraying. So remember, once you fill up your tank, you're going to want to open this valve up, run over, and turn on the pumps. So your tank needs to be between, say, 3 to 4, maybe even 5 feet at the start of this. You could even potentially leave this open to continually fill to get a good flush. And pretty much right before you turn on the pump, you can come over and open this up. And yeah, that's the basics of the flush. Oh, I guess, yeah, the flow you're going to be looking for is between 500 to 600 gallons per minute. Should give a decent flush. And I think the pressure is going to be between 15 to 20 psi on the actual booster pumps. Before you start anything, double or triple or even quadruple check your valving. That way you don't damage the RO. All right, good luck. All right, so my valving's all correct. I went ahead and double checked all that. I'm going to go ahead and I can see we have about 2 feet of water, but this water's been sitting in there for more than 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and dump this water out. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up this guy. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this stuff. All right, so that's open. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my submersibles now. I'm going to do this. There we go. Good. Yeah, so we're first going to go ahead and I'm going to dump this out. All right, so I drained the tank. Made sure to close that valve right there, the dump valve. Now I'm going to go over. Got the sump pumps running. Now I gotta go ahead and fill the tank back up with good fresh Permeate. So I'm gonna open this guy up. There we go. And it looks like, according to SCADA, we've been filling up to about 6 feet. So I'm gonna go off of what I can see on the trend, fill up to 6 feet before we start. All right. As you can see, it looks like we're already there, right there at the 6 foot mark on the tank. And so I'm gonna go ahead and move over, and we're gonna stop filling for now. I'm gonna go ahead and close this guy. Probably get a little wet. Nice and steady, not too fast. Okay, close. But I'm closing the RO Permeate. Now where we stop filling, I don't know if you can see that. It's gonna continue to fill a little bit. And I'm going to get ready now to start the flush here in a second. Right, so before starting the flush, we're just going to go ahead and do another valve check just to be safe. So obviously this guy has to be closed, so closed. All right, we're going to come over here. Open. We're using that pump, so open, partially open. Remember the Venturi's valves closed. Come over the cartridge filter, influent and effluent, open, open. Come over to here. This valve, closed. This valve, open. This valve open, this valve closed, and this valve closed. This valve is closed for right now, but we'll open that up right before turning on the pump. This valve open, and this valve is closed. Then inside, open, 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 open. Open, open, opened, opened, and open. All right, we're ready. So at this stage, I'm gonna open the effluent to the system. That way we don't deadhead when I go and turn on the pump. So I'm gonna open this valve quickly, and then I'm gonna run over. I'm gonna do 721, so I'm gonna use the VFD on the right, and I'm gonna go ahead and start the pump. All right, so this is where we're at right now. We got a pretty low pressure. There's no cavitation. Everything looks good. Looks like right now the flow's at 453. So I can turn that up a little bit. Try to get to maybe 500. Slow. I can turn up a little bit more. That should be good. So we got there. That's the current setting. The current pressure, and as you can see, we got the water flowing out through there and flushing down the tank. So I'm going to drop this down to say about 2-3 or so. Once that happens, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the pump, and I'm going to close that valve, and we should be good. All right, so as you can see, it's no longer flowing out through there because that valve is closed. Come over to here. Tank's good, about 2-3 still. And pumps are off, and that's it. Hey guys, I needed to correct a few things I said in the video. as these target points and values have changed over time and probably will change again in the future. But anyways, the following targets and set points contradict what I said before, so let's just go off of what's on this sheet unless instructed to do so otherwise. So we're supposed to initiate a permeate train flush every 24 to 48 hours. If we have the auto flush, then we can do it probably every 24 hours, but if it's like this, every 48 hours with the permeate should be fine. If water's remained in the CIP tank for more than 5 days, then go ahead and drain it. It's permeate in there, so it should be rather clean. But yeah, if it's been in there for more than 5 days, drain the tank. The flow of the flush should be between 500 to 600 gallons per minute on the flow meter in the CIP area. On the discharge side of the pump, the pressure should be between 10 to 15 psi or so. When you fill the tank with the RO permeate fill valve, fill the tank to 6 feet. And then the actual flush itself, flush with the tank water until reaching a minimum of 4 feet. That's if you're doing it, every day, every other day with a permeate flush. Or if you wanted to go to 3 feet because it's been a little bit longer, you could do that to get a even better flush. But 4 feet is pretty much the target. If you go over a little bit, then that's fine. All right, well, that's it. Good luck, guys.